can you hear me? Might not be in there.
You can't even get it loaded up now.
Okay, you can't hear them or they can't hear you.
Steve,
could-
can you hear me?
Reading was like where I could kind of hear it, but not hear enough to distinguish the words.
Okay.
And I couldn't talk.
Okay.
Hear me?
Nope. Say that again. Say that again.
Because it's funny, Beth.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you guys hear me?
One
Hello?
more time. Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, and I can hear you guys.
Okay,
I
excellent.
mean, if you say
Okay,
something a
got
little
it.
louder.
Whatever you did.
Okay. Just a few things, turn on and off in the settings, unmute and then unmute, mute again. I did it a couple of times, and that was pretty much it.
You might want.
Okay, let me see over here. Where do I go to?
You're on your.
I'm on this page. Where do I go to get the participants? Oh, there it goes.
Okay, probably in mute while we're just doing this.
Can you hear me, Lina?
Yes, Steve, I can hear you. Can you hear mine?
And I hear you too now.
Okay, and you are very clear. There's no background noises or anything.
No, it comes out perfect.
Okay?
I think we got it. Thank you. Yeah, let me, before you leave, I'm gonna turn it off. Turning the thing off. Make sure it loads the whole bit now. I'm still signed in. This wants a password.
You're still on.
Yeah. What you're still
Yeah,
on,
let me-
you're still on the meeting. You would have to exit the meeting in order to go back in.
How am I gonna exit?
Oh,
Oh, absolutely.
well, we leave it.
Okay, Lana, I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted.
Steve, I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We got it fixed. Yeah, I think we got it. I gotta. Sit down.
Are you gonna stay joined in?
No.
Yeah. I think Denise is. Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure they could hear though that it actually wasn't.
Can everybody hear us?
Is Jason not here?
Yes.
Ben's not here. Oh, Ben,
I hear you.
my two people. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Everyone, welcome to the Will County Board Special Meeting for January 6th, 2022. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the governor's recent disaster proclamation, the number of COVID-19 cases in Will County, and the CDC guidelines regarding COVID-19, the Speaker of the Will County Board has determined that in-person meetings are not practical nor prudent. Therefore, all meetings of the Will County Board shall be held via video and/or audio until further notice. The public is invited to comment or pose a question by email at publiccomment@willcountyillinois.com. At the public comments portion of the meeting, the emails will be read into the record. Please go to www.willcountyboard.com/meetings for a link to attend. I need to call the meeting to order. Board Member Ballage, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mueller. Here. Frizzalone. Frizzalone.
I am here
Newquist.
now.
Oh, got it. Newquist. Newquist. Okay. Ogala. Ogala. Cook. Cook. Mustis.
Here.
Mitchell. Mitchell. Tyson. Tyson. Trainier. Trainier. Fritz. Fritz.
Hey guys, this is Newquest. I am here. I was just having audio issues again. Sorry.
Okay. Gould,
Here.
Van Dyne, Balich, Balich here. Brooks,
Here.
Winfrey, Winfrey here. Parker,
Parker here. Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ventura, Ventura, Coleman,
Present.
Coleman,
Yeah, this is me.
okay.
I'm present. Okay.
Markham,
Here. I'm here.
Berkowitz.
Here.
Oh my goodness. Got it. Pretzel,
Here.
Weigel,
Here.
Freeman,
I'm present. Can you hear me?
yes.
Thank you.
Carlitis, Carlitis, Cowan,
Here, and I think some of the people who aren't on, I think they're trying to get on the executive session meeting, so I think that's why we're missing a few people.
This is Jackie. I finally made it. No, it was just giving me like a weird error message.
okay.
Just make sure that I can be heard. This is Debbie.
And who else?
This is Margaret Tyson.
Okay. Carlitis. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 present.
With 19 members present, we do have a quorum. I need a motion to place on file the certificate of publication. Motion by Winfrey, seconded by Ballard.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mueller,
Yes.
Frizzalone,
Yes.
Newquist,
Yes.
Ogella, Cook, Mustis,
Yes.
Mitchell, Tyson,
Yes.
Trainier, Trainier,
Sorry, had to find the dang unmute button. I'm here.
yeah, oh, yes. Is that a yes? Board Member Trainier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Fritz? Gould?
Yes.
Van Dyne? Balich? Balich, yes. Brooks?
I found the unmute. I'm a yes.
Thank you. Winfrey? Winfrey, yes. Parker? Parker? Ventura? Coleman? Coleman? Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz?
Yes.
Pretzel? Weigel?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Carlitis?
Yes.
Cowan?
Yes.
This is
Ventura.
Cole.
Excuse me, Lauren,
Yep.
this is Parker. I lost you there for a minute. Can you show me as a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Ventura. Can you show me as well? Thank you.
Same for Coleman.
Coleman.
And Cook, please. Thank you.
Cook. Cook. Coleman. Cowan.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
21 affirmative, the motion carries. At this time, we'll move to public comments. Is there any public comment related to today's agenda item? Okay, we're moving on to old business. Speaker Cowan, do you want to make the motions, or would you like me to do this?
Sure, I can, no problem. So, as everybody knows, this is the ARPA consultant contract. I think we may have some questions, but a revised version was distributed last night with some of the requests from the county board for the changes. So I assume county board members are fine with those last minute changes. But can I get a motion for 21-445 authorizing, or I guess, sorry, I so move. 21-445 authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with the ARPA consultant, and I so move.
Second. We have a motion by Cowan, seconded by Winfrey. Is there any discussion? Please raise your hand and we will go through the responses if you have questions. County Board Member Mueller?
Oh, I didn't intend to have my hand up. I'm sorry. I'll fix
Yeah,
that.
that's fine, no worries. County Board Member Mustis? Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. All right, before we go to questions, we will have, we'll have Mitch kind of give a summary again of what the contract includes. Then I'll get to you next, County Board Member Mustis. Thank you.
Good afternoon, County Board members. I just will kind of give like a high-level overview of the different terms within the contract, just to kind of get this conversation started. So just to kind of walk back a bit, so on October 15th, the county completed an RFQ seeking qualifications from firms to assist the county in developing a comprehensive plan to align funding opportunities with short-term and long-term strategic investments using the federally funded provided funds from the American Rescue Plan, also known as ARPA. The firm will also be assisting in the implementation of that ARPA plan. A selection committee was created that included members of the county board, the county executive, and the county auditor. The selection committee interviewed 6 firms, narrowed the list to 3, then received pricing proposals from those that list of 3, and then ranked those 3 firms based on the pricing proposals. The firm ranked first on that list was Answer Advisory, which the contract before you today is from that entity. The contract is the result of negotiations with Answer. The contract is similar in nature to that of the contract for consulting services the county had for the CARES funds between the county and the Bronner Group. In that it has a defined term of 2 years with a maximum price of $1.5 million, which is 1.3% of the total ARPA allocation of $133 million. The fees are dependent on the level of involvement from Answer. In other words, we are billed for the hours that we request of Answer. The weighted hourly rate is approximately $200 an hour. So the county has roughly 7,500 billable hours available under the terms of the contract. The draft contract was submitted to the State Attorney's Office on December 13th for review and the County Board on December 15th. Requested changes, as the Speaker acknowledged, came from the County Board, which are reflected in the draft attached agenda. And again, just to kind of summarize those requests, it was more sort of technical clarification to ensure that there's to clarify sort of the relationship and how Answer will interact with both the county executive's office and the county board. We do have representatives from Answer on this meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
County Board Member Mustis.
Thank you, Madam Executive. Yeah, I had some questions at the Executive Committee meeting, but after reading the revised contract, I don't have as many questions or concerns. I guess the only question I would have is that the state's attorney's office is, if they have any comments or if they're signing off on the contract to go forward. Thank you.
And that is specified too in the resolution that the contract would be subject to review and approval by the state's attorney's office. So we would not enter into any contract without the approval of the state's attorney's office.
I understand that, Mitch. I'm just wondering if they have any comments at this time.
Oh, I apologize.
Mr. Piles, I know you were on. Do you have any comments?
Yes, good afternoon. No, I don't. I have taken a look at it, but we have multiple people in the office looking at it, so I don't have any really substantive comments at this time.
All right. So
if I could just do a little follow-up, Madam Executive, it's my preference is that before we vote on something of this nature, that the state's attorney's office signs off. I realize that I realize that you have to review it before it's executed, but I don't like voting on these types of contracts without first getting a input from the state's attorney's office. So, if that means it's 2 weeks from now, then, we waited this long, another 2 weeks isn't going to kill us. But that's how I'm kind of viewing this. I would probably be a no without comment from the state's attorney's office beforehand. Thank you.
Jim, this is Kevin Myers. I did take a look after this morning's meeting. Unfortunately, Mary's out of the office. I'm not sure. I did check with other attorneys whether they had reviewed this. Obviously, Scott has had some involvement, but I'm not sure whether Mary has done any review on this either.
Speaker Cowan.
So just on another note about this, the final rules for ARPA came out, I think just today or maybe yesterday. So I just wanted to highlight that for everyone. And it's kind of good that we've waited this far, because then we're not running up against the rules not being finally out. And I think we're in line with a lot of counties who've waited to get rolling on this. And I don't know if Denise wanted to talk at all about her involvement with NACO and their involvement with getting these rules out and making sure they protected counties, but I know that's been an important part of her work in the last few months too.
County Board Member Newquist.
Thank you. I just have a clarifying question. So if we did approve this today, wouldn't a stipulation on it be that the state's attorney's office would have to approve it? And then let's say we did vote to approve it today with that stipulation and they didn't approve it, then what happens? Do we come back and renegotiate and revote?
So again, yeah, the state's attorney has had the contract. I do think the changes received, they probably received yesterday. And again, this is based on timing and response that we have received. But yes, they will review it, and we will not be signing anything that they do not feel is necessary to be in there or is in our best interest.
Okay, thank you.
Did
Given
I
that,
answer?
I mean,
Is that the correct answer? I mean, I'm not, is that the answer? Did I answer your question? That's not the correct answer, but
No,
is it the, did I answer your question?
given that, I mean, I think I'm comfortable voting on this since it's not going to be signed until it's approved anyway. Just in the interest of, moving forward with this. Thank you.
All right. And just to, there has been no real substantial changes. The only changes were the requested changes that came to us from last night were just some adding county board in that language. County Board Member Balich.
Yeah, I read the thing and I don't see any problems with it, just like Jim didn't. So I don't see why we can't, I'll make a motion to move forward pending, if there's a problem with the state's attorney, then we don't proceed. But if there's not, we can just keep moving forward. I don't know how you want it worded, so
Already had a
maybe
motion.
I don't think we need them. We don't need them. We'll proceed unless,
the state's attorney
yeah,
says no.
and that's part of it. They are.
That way
they're
we're covering our butt.
Right. County Board Member Brooks.
Thank you, Madam Executive. And I think that with Sherry Newport's question, you might have answered mine, because I was thinking more of the lines of when Jim used to use the term sign off, sounds like to me sign off really means they kind of eyeball it, review it, then bring it back to us. And secondly, are we under any time restraint as far as dispersing these monies? Do we have plenty of time?
County Board
Yeah,
Member Brooks. County Board Member Brooks, and I believe County Board Member Winfrey would be able to best answer this, but from my understanding of the ruling that came out, the county's required to obligate it by a certain date, and I believe it's I don't want to throw a date out there because I don't have it in my head, but it's within the next 2 years. But that doesn't mean we have to spend the money by that point. We just have to obligate it. So our spend was further. It's just we have to obligate it and notify the feds on how that money is obligated.
Okay, so we're good. All right, thanks, Mitch.
County
That's
Board Member
correct,
Winfrey.
And I'll just add to that the final rule was signed today at 12:30. I got the notice this morning. And what that means is that any money that is not spent can be spent based on the final rule, and it's through 24. Any money that was spent prior, for example, we spent some money in the clerk's office, that is governed by the rule that was already in place. We don't have to redo anything or change anything for that. So we are good all the way around, whether we already spent it or we didn't spend it yet. We are in compliance either way.
Thank you, Denise.
County Board Member Frizzalone.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of agree with Jim, and I think some people are getting confused. This is not a committee meeting. This is a county board meeting. If we vote to approve this, it's approved, pending what the SA's office says. But if the SA's office says, well, we have some problems here, we already approved it, which I don't think is a good practice. That's what Jim's saying. If this was a committee meeting, like an executive today, and we were moving it forward to the county board, there'd be time for them to review. But I agree, when we don't have an SA, I thought it was already reviewed, and now we're saying no. So how can we vote on a contract that isn't reviewed and be done with it? Because this is a county board meeting, not a committee meeting.
Mr. Piles, can you weigh in on that question?
Well, certainly, if the county board approves the contract subject to legal review by the state's attorney's office, in essence, the board is putting a condition precedent on the execution of the contract. So, for example, if the county board approves this subject to review of the state's attorney's office, and the review, let's say the contract is insufficient or there's something missing, then the county executive is not authorized to execute the contract.
That's my point. So why are we voting on it?
If the contract does go through the review and it's fine, then there's no need for another meeting. The county executive, with the condition precedent removed, can execute the contract.
Speaker Cowan?
I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that on the resolution, the penultimate paragraph says, be it further resolved that the agreement is subject to review and approval of the Will County State's Attorney's Office. So just following up on what Scott just said.
County Board Member Trenier.
I guess my question is, here we are, we're having a special board meeting and we're not really ready to approve it. I mean, because the state's attorney hasn't signed off yet. I'm just kind of a little wondering why we're having this special meeting. Why wouldn't we have just waited? And maybe there's some other pressing stuff that we're going to talk about later that somebody can explain, but I just don't understand why we're having a special board meeting for something that's not been approved yet. That's my only concern. Thank you.
And I'm going to try to, address this, in a nice, a nice manner here. When we get things, we depend on other people to respond and get back to us with things. We're only as capable as we get information. At the same time, I know the county board has to. County board staff has to try to get a meeting together and work with multiple people to try to get these meetings together. So again, I called it at the request of the county board. There's no substantial changes in this contract. It's the same standard language in that resolution that we always use. I think the substantial. Yeah, go ahead.
So
I'm sorry.
You're saying the speaker called this meeting?
No, I would say I called the meeting. I called a special.
Okay, because you said the county board, so I just want to be very.
I helped call the special meeting based on the county board availability. We had the last meeting. It was decided we'd have a special meeting to approve this contract. Again, to give more time for people to review it. And again, based on when feedback came back to us, we are working within the matrix that we are giving. The contract hasn't changed other than a few minor requests that came to us late. We've resent it to the state's attorney to review them. Mary is on vacation. I called the meeting to make it easier, other than it's more convenient, it's more productive to have me call the meeting rather than for the county board members to have to go through the motion of getting the required members to call a meeting. So I was working in tandem with the county board. We are trying to do this together.
So did the SA's office look at it before we made our comments? And were they okay with it then?
Yes, they had the contract before the changes were made. County Board Member Ogala.
So when I look at the resolution, it does say, be it further resolved that said agreement is subject to review and approval of the Will County State's Attorney. So if they aren't happy with it, then you won't, obviously don't sign it, come back for another time. I'm sorry, didn't pay attention. Is it attached here with the red line changes? Okay, so I don't see what the problem is. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. It doesn't look like there's any more discussion, so Madam
Executive, I have my hand back up.
I'm sorry. County Board Member Mustis?
Yeah, I want to perhaps just touch on communication a little bit. Madam Executive, as you mentioned, we can only respond to as we get information. And I realize there is discussion between leadership and the executive's office, but that's not a discussion with the county board members. And it's very difficult for leadership to disseminate information to the board because of the Open Meetings Act. We have to do it at committee. You know, we can't go back in an office and discuss it. And yes, it's a process that takes longer, but it's the law, as Speaker Collins frequently points out to us. So when there's communication between leadership of the county board and the executive's office, that's not a communication to the county board. It's just not. You know, that's why leadership has to bring it back to committees so we can have a discussion. So we're just receiving information. We're just being able, the county board, this is the first opportunity the county board is membership has had the ability to ask questions or express concerns. So, and this is why I'm not prepared to necessarily vote on this, because it's the first information I really received. I received some things yesterday. I just was able to read the revised version between the executive committee meeting and this meeting. So I think we should keep that in mind. This is to suggest this has been communicated and there's been discussion. In my view, it's not a discussion that's taken place with the full body of the county board. So I just want to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion. I don't think there's any more discussion. We have a motion.
Well, I
We
had
have-
my hand up.
Excuse me, I have my hand up.
Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry. Hold on. So we check it and they come up quicker. Then we check it and then someone talks and then someone else's hands go up. So we will hear everybody. We don't see anybody. So I heard two people yell out. Who would
Well,
like to?
this is Herb Brooks. My hand was up.
County Board Member Brooks.
Thank you. Madam Executive, our county board speaker read the first paragraph of the resolution first. Minority Whip Ogala read it second. And I'm glad that paragraph is first, because what it does state why we're here, and it also gives a loophole for the state's attorney if by chance they come back in their review and there is something not quite right. So I think that first part of the resolution does explain that. I do understand the Open Meetings Act. I do get it, why we're here. I do get all that. However, if everybody look at that first paragraph that's been read twice, I think that does answer and makes me comfortable about going ahead and let the state's attorney do their job as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a quick reminder that since this was attached to the December board meeting, this contract, since then the only change was really the scope to include the county board from the leadership in the language. So that is the only change that has been made with this contract that was on your December board meeting packet. So County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, County Executive. I appreciate it. I just have a question about the rate. I believe it was said. I'm looking on the attachment and I can't find it here. I think it was said $200 an hour. Or, correct me if I'm wrong. But my inquiry is, is that competitive? Have we, compared to the other vendors that came forward?
This is Mitch Shaban. Yes, so that was, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the selection committee at this point. There were two pricing proposals that came in identical. And within those pricing proposals, each team laid out sort of what their the different hourly rates for their different team members. And so when I mentioned in my opening comments that the rate of $200 an hour, that's the average of their entire project team, and it is competitive with the other pricing proposals that we did see.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We don't see any more hands. So we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mueller,
Yes.
Frizzalone,
No.
Newquist,
Yes.
Ogalla,
Ogalla, yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Mustis,
No.
Mitchell. Oh, Mitchell's not here. Tyson,
Yes.
Trainier, Trainier, Gould,
Yes.
Balich, Balich, yes. Brooks,
Yes.
Winfrey, Winfrey, yes. Parker,
Yes.
Ventura, Yes. Did she say? Ventura, I said yes, thank you. Coleman,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Berkowitz,
Lauren, can you repeat what we're voting on? I'm sorry, it was garbled.
We are authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with ARPA Consultant.
And are we still waiting for information from the state's attorney?
No.
You're voting right now on
No.
whether or not you give us the authority to negotiate with, there's already a stipulation in there with the state's attorneys,
in the resolution.
in the
Okay.
resolution, the state's attorney approval.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Pretzel,
Yes.
Weigel,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Crolitis,
Yes.
Cowan.
Yes.
Yep. 19. 19-2.
With 19 members voting in favor, the motion carries. No other new business or old business. Moving on to new business. I need a motion to approve the resolution declaring the vacancy in District 4.
Motion. Mueller.
Motion by Balich, seconded by Winfrey. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please?
County Executive, I have my hand raised. This is Speaker Cowan.
Okay, I'm sorry, Speaker. We're
That's
not
great.
seeing-
So I'm going to ask for an amendment to the resolution. And I want to give everyone a little bit of background on that so that folks understand why the state's attorney's office has asked us to resolve or to amend this resolution a little bit from our normal. So in the fourth paragraph of declaring the vacancy, it says, be it further resolved that the vacancy be filled within 60 days of the vacancy date by the appointment of the county executive. And I'm going to, in a second, make a motion to remove the phrase of the county executive. And I'll have Scott Piles weigh in and see if that's the appropriate amendment to make. But the background to this is that, as most of you know, Will County is one of 2 counties in Illinois with the executive form of government. And for the last how many ever years, when we've had vacancies on the county board, the resolution as it's written is how we've dealt with that the executive has made the appointment and then county board retains advice and consent. There's currently an ongoing lawsuit in Champaign County about this process. And most recently, an appellate court ruled that the appointment for vacancies on the county board should actually be made by the county board chair. In our case, that would be the speaker. but this is at odds with a trial court's ruling and at odds with our kind of standard operating of business, and it's not really a settled matter at this point. So I again will turn to Scott here in a second, but our state's attorney's opinion, I believe, is to ask us to be vague about who's making the appointment, that the appointment will be made, and that the county board will have advice and consent, and we will work together to get to that point. So Scott, I don't know if do you feel it's the appropriate motion to ask for to just strike the phrase of the county executive?
Madam Speaker and County Executive, I would ask that the language to be, I would strike out after the word done or date, and in place of by appointment of the county executive, I would place in the wording pursuant to Illinois law with the advice and consent of the county board. That would be my recommended amendment to the resolution.
Okay, so that it would read within 60 days of the vacancy date, pursuant to Illinois law with the advice and consent of the county board. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to amend the resolution as indicated.
Second, Ventura.
Any discussion? County Board Member Mustis?
Yeah, Scott, so maybe you can clarify it a little further for me. So when we do that, is that, for example, the appellate court ruled, but then there's the county code and there's the Executive Act. You know, certainly in the Executive Act, it talks about appointments, but I really think the appointments are the boards. It's not appointments to replace a position on the county board. That'd be like saying the governor replaces a legislator without the legislature. And the only thing that's available to you is to say yes or no. So when you say pursuant to law, what law are you talking about?
Well, the office is currently reviewing. There's a lot of moving parts to this decision. We are reviewing the Champaign County case came down relatively recently, and we are trying to look at some of the different statutes that are involved and past practices and other material. And the office is going to be coming out with an opinion on this next week.
Well,
So by leaving the phrase in pursuant to Illinois law, you're still declaring the vacancy, but yet the resolution is indicating that we're going to follow Illinois law in making the appointment. So by keeping the resolution wording as it is, it essentially is just making it a little bit more generic than being very specific as it may have been done in the past.
Well, you know, in the past, and we can kind of split hairs here, but in the past, and I've been around for quite a few board member appointments. In the past, yes, the county executive brought the name forward, but the county executive, whether it would have been Larry Walsh, Chuck Edelman, Joe Mikan, they always took the recommendation. They just brought a name forward that was brought forward by basically the political party, which primarily either, for the most part, came through Central Committee's recommendations and through the appropriate caucus on the county board. That was the practice. But, you know, it doesn't show that. So when you talk about practice, you know, you got to talk about the practice, what a resolution said, or the practice that was the procedures that were done. So that's where I think the practice part becomes a little gray, because my feeling is the state's attorney's office is going to look at that resolution and say, that was your practice, but it was not the process. So I have a lot of concerns in that regard. And I actually think the state statute in the appointment of a county board member is I don't think the intent was to have a county executive bring an appointment forward, and then so you can say yes or no. Now, yeah, I think this is extremely important. I think it's extremely important in the sense of separation of power. County executive is a separate branch of government who perhaps someone's suggesting that separate branch of government has the authority to appoint to another branch of government. So, like I say, so I think in some ways, it's like it's like a lot of things in law, except we don't get an opposing view from the state's attorney's office. We just get the state's attorney's view. Unlike the executive's office that has separate counsel, the county board doesn't have the ability to have separate counsel to perhaps get different interpretations. So I'm not feeling good about this, but I would agree with you want to say it's better than saying the county executive. I'm pointing out some of my concerns, I suppose, and asking you to, when the state's attorney's office reviews this, please take, past practice and what really occurred, the process, where are the appointments, and every county executive that I served, and I've served under all the county executives that have been in existence in Will County. This was pretty much a county board, and not even a full county board. It was pretty much a caucus and central committee process. And generally, whatever party was not appointing it, we just basically, if there's, in this case, we just pretty much, Republicans would pretty much vote the Democratic appointment, and we would pretty much agree with the Democratic caucus on how they wanted to go forward. So I just want to point some of these areas out because I think it's grayer than you may think.
So County Board Member Moose, I'll make a quick, quick response. So we recognize the situation is not ideal. And we're in a little better situation that the county executive is a Democrat and the speaker is a Democrat as well. So, this may or may not give you peace of mind. I recognize anything I do has to go in front of this county board for approval. So I can assure you, at least with this process, that, it's not going to be a decision that I am going to put someone forward that's going to have to be embarrassed and be turned down especially by the Democratic caucus. So does not separate the fact that this situation does need to be resolved, absolutely. But unfortunately, we have a court case, an appellate, and from what I understand, they have requested to go to the Supreme Court, but we do have to we want to declare this vacancy because I'm sure people on this board don't want me to be the tiebreaker until the Supreme Court rules on something. So I can assure you that I recognize fully that this has to go to the county board. I plan to work with the speaker and the Democratic caucus in this process to get us through this to this vacancy. But again, I fully understand that there needs to be some clarifying language moving forward.
But Madam Executive, like you mentioned, it is a Democratic caucus and a Democratic political process. But what if it were a Republican, and you decide what Republican's going to sit in that seat? Right. Is that, or let's say we had a Republican county executive. Should he or she be deciding who the replacement is for the Democratic caucus? So you have to look beyond the current situation, I suppose. And, you know, I know people think don't things change, but I've been around long enough and the pendulum swings. Sometimes it takes some time. So when you get these ideas that one particular party is going to hold these seats forever, you should think again, you know. So at any rate, you know, I've expressed my concerns and I understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah. And I understand that is obviously that's a very real concern. So again, we understand that the language probably needs to be clarified. Although I don't know, do you not trust me as a quality Republican to get on the board here? That's a joke. That's a joke. Steve Ballage, you want to?
Just for now, she would know.
Oh, all right. You know what, that amendment thing is garbage because there's unintended consequences with everything you do. And for the county board to do appointments, I don't want to see that. What about the fire districts? What about the sanitary districts? So in other words, the county board that's going to start checking into all that stuff and then going and making the appointments. That's kind of the impression I'm getting, that we're going to, I like it like it was. Larry Walsh was in charge. He made the appointment, then we had a vote on it. And if it was a Democrat seat, it went Democrat. If it was a Republican, he got a Republican. You know, I don't see why we have to change it. It seems stupid to me, although a lot of things seem stupid to me, you know, so we won't go there either. But I don't understand why we would change in midstream and let the county board all of a sudden be the one that does everything. I mean, I think it's good that that the executive has to answer to us. So if we don't like it, maybe you can vote no to her stuff.
Madam County Executive, can I make a statement?
Yes, sir.
You know, the appointment process really, there are certain requirements in the statute and filling different vacancies for different offices is different. For example, in the state legislature, it's the party committees. They make the appointments to the state legislative office, state senator and state representative. At the county level, it's done different. At a township board, if there's a vacancy, the board is involved in filling that vacancy. So the statutes have different requirements for different offices. And in terms of this particular, if there's a vacancy declared on the county board, it is incumbent on the statute that the party chairman of the respective parties be notified of the vacancy. So that's not going to change. That's, again, Illinois law. If it's a Republican seat that's open, the statute requires that a Republican be appointed in its place. If it's a Democratic seat, then it's required that a Democrat be placed. None of those things are changing. This appellate court decision is it's essentially an issue regarding the reading of the county executive and the county's code. And our office is trying to reconcile that decision with our ordinances and other laws. And we're going to come to an opinion and we will share it as soon as it is done.
County Board Member Trenier.
Yes, I had to step away from the call for a minute. So I didn't even see how we ended up on the ARPA contract, but are we trying to change something? Because I'm the chair of the DuPage Township Democrats, and this county board seat in District 4 is in my district. No one has come to me at any point to talk to any of our elected precinct committeemen about who might be interested in running or being appointed. I shouldn't say running, being appointed to this position. So I want to make that very clear for the record. No one has spoken to me about this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Today we're just declaring a vacancy. County Board Member Ventura.
Yes, hi. I agree with Jim on some of this. I'm a little nervous. I mean, I did second it because I think it needs to be done so we can make the announcement. But my concern has always been the way that this has been interpreted. Mary Teacher had heard from me the last time, as well as Nora Grutenberg and Bill Toman before that, that I felt that this language really does need to be more clarified. It is unusual that in a government process like this, we are discussing a political process, but yet here it is. I would prefer us to actually work something through the legislative committee for Will County to ask the state to further clarify this process. And in my opinion, what I think what needs to be done is that they ask the party chair to submit the name to the executive via a vote of the precinct committee people. And then the executive would bring that name forward for the county board to approve. That puts the hands back into the people who've elected the PCs, who are either in that area or across the county. The PCs can decide. I mean, that I guess the state legislator could discuss, or our own legislative committee could discuss how they want to move that forward. But I think most of us agree that more opportunities for democracy is always best. I think that's what I'm hearing Steve Ballard say, is that, why are we just picking a name out of the air? If there's an opportunity for, more elected body to do that, that would be great. But of course, the checks and balances come in where the board would approve. If the executive had any question about the name being submitted, they could discuss that with the party chair, and make sure that we have a qualified person being submitted, and then the county board would approve that person. But at the end of the day, it would be the voters who elected their PCs to make that vote. That's my personal opinion, political opinion. I know that's not what's being asked of today. It also does seem a little vague that with Scott saying, well, as a state law dictates, but then we are actually waiting for Supreme Court rulings and other court rulings. So I would be okay if we even change the amendment just for this vote to say, ended at the end of the date, and not even say in pursuant of whether it's the state law, the court law, or the existing law, because I'm not sure. I mean, Scott, you can correct us if I'm wrong, but do we even need that? If we're just making the announcement that this is a vacancy and in 60 days a name will come forward, do we even have to say how that name will be coming forward? That's a question to Scott's part.
I think there's a question for you.
I mean, I think that the way that it's phrased currently, I think is to a certain extent is generic. We're, I know the county board members, I know our office, we all want to follow the correct procedure in following up with this vacancy. As has been stated, there is a court decision that was released by the Illinois Appellate Court in the 4th District, which is the district that covers Springfield and some of the more counties in the middle of the state. And it concerns the Champaign County, which has the same county executive style government that we have here in Will County. And as I stated earlier, the decision is a recent one, and we want to see what the effect of that decision has on this appointment process. And by changing the language, by striking out by the county executive and instead putting in its place pursuant to Illinois law, I think it allows the board to declare the vacancy as it should, but gives the room for everybody to follow the correct procedure at the time that the name does get pulled forward.
Okay, so to clarify that, when the courts interpret the language, is that determined as state law? Because it may be interpreting something that is written differently than the state law. So by us saying by state law, that is encompassing whatever agreement a court might make.
Right. And by pursuant to Illinois law, we're taking into account all of the Illinois statutes and Illinois case law that touch on this subject, correct?
Okay. So for that reason, I guess, is why I've seconded the amendment, but I will continue to put it out there to the board that I think between now and the next time we ever have to do an appointment, we should ask the state legislative to correct this. And since no one else seems to be putting in their opinion, I mean, other counties or whatnot at this time, perhaps this is a time that Will County could take the lead on that, being one of the only 2 executive form of governments outside of Cook County. Maybe we could take this through legislative committee, have all of our county board members give our opinions, come to some type of agreement of how we'd like the state to reward that, and send it off for this legislative session. And hopefully in the future, things like this won't make a difference. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, so we have it's hard to tell if your hands are still up, but just remember, we are just declaring the vacancy today. We have a motion on the amendment by Cowan, seconded by Ventura. Like I said, there are some, I can't tell if they're old hands or new hands. Is there anyone else who wants to make a?
Mine's a new hand, Herb Brooks.
Carl, and I'll let you go last. How's that? County Board Member Brooks.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I may not catch on as quickly as everybody else, but everybody else's comments help me to understand. And I think what we've been getting to is Speaker Cowan made an amendment, and there's a resolution 22-1. What we're trying to do is declare the seat vacant. So all the other comments that's gone forth is very valuable, but we have to declare the seat vacant first. And I believe, Madam Executive, that's what we've been trying to get to so we can go to the next step. I'm ready to vote. Call the question.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I wish I could do that, but you spoke on it first, so I can't call the, the question. Somebody who hasn't spoken on it.
Thank you.
But thank you though for trying. County Board Member Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I didn't know if you heard my last vote, but it was a no for the last vote for ARPA. I didn't know if you didn't hear that. I guess I'm a little confused because I'm wondering if it's just to say that the position is vacant or there's a vacancy in District 4. Well, then why do we need I guess I'm confused as to why do we need the state's attorney and all that. Apparently it's a little bit more to it than just saying, it's just a bit more to it than just saying, okay, there's a vacancy in this district. So it's a little bit more than just declaring that. So we should probably, whatever it is, whatever the hangup is, we should probably fix that first before to determine how we're going to handle the vacancy. And as far as Board Member Trenier goes, I completely understand. As a chairperson, I would like, party chairperson, I would like for somebody to come to me and ask me to fill the vacancy in my district. That completely makes sense. So I am going to say, put on record that I do agree with her in that case, but I understand we're just filling the vacancy. I get that. But I just wanted to say apparently there's a little bit more to it. And I think that's where everybody's getting hung up. That's all.
Yes, again, we are just here today to determine the vacancy. The process of how we fill that vacancy has usually been internal with each of the caucuses to bring a name forward by the county executive at one time, that to be approved by the entire board, though. So this is not a one-man show. It's not a one-man decision. This is a group decision like we always do with all of our pieces or all of our resolutions. So I think Speaker Cowan is going to close it out.
Thank you, County Executive. I did want to quickly address, Mr. Balish had some statements about, not changing the whole process. And I did want to clarify that in my understanding, this lawsuit is not about who appoints, like for fire districts and all the associated boards and commissions with county government. It's actually only about who appoints in the case of the vacancy of an elected official. So it's only county board members or like a countywide elected office. And also that today we are not changing anything. We are not changing our process at all right now. As has been stated, we are leaving basically the option open to make sure we are following the law, and the state's attorney is going to come back to us with a reading of what they believe that law is at the current moment. So for today, we are just declaring this vacancy, and given all the questions, and you can see how much confusion there is over this because of this lawsuit, we will most certainly be talking about this more at a later date as well. So I appreciate everybody being willing to engage in the conversation. That is it.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mueller,
Yes.
Frizzalone,
Yes.
Newquist,
Yes.
Ogalla, no. Cook, Cook,
Yes.
Mustis,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Tyson,
Tyson, yes.
Trainier,
Yes.
Gould, Gould, Balich, Balich, no. Brooks,
Yes.
Winfrey, Winfrey's not here. Parker, Parker, Ventura,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Berkowitz, Berkowitz,
Yes.
Pretzel,
Yes.
Weigel,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Crolitis, Cowan.
Yes.
With 18 members voting aye, the motion carries. I now need to get a motion to approve the resolution as amended. May I get a motion?
Motion, Cowan.
Second,
Motion,
Frizalone.
second by Frizalone. Previous roll call?
Previous roll call, Eustace.
Second, Mitchell.
Previous by Musa, second by Mitchell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. There is no other new business. At this time, we are in public comment relevant to matters under the jurisdiction of the county. We have one speaker here today, Mr. Kyle Clare, if you would like to come to the podium. Yeah, when you get up there, sir, please press the button. And a reminder that you have, we allow for 3 minutes for public comment. Thank you.
Hello, County Board. My name is Kyle Clare, Bolingbrook County Board District 3. I want to take some time to address some comments made by Will County Health Executive Director Susan Olenek and Speaker Mimi Cowan at today's executive meeting. As an unvaccinated resident of Will County, I was taken aback by the words of Director Olenek had to say, demonizing and judging people for making their own decisions on vaccinations. As a person in the medical field, Dr. Olenek should understand the Nuremberg Code and understand that everyone is entitled to their own medical choices. As seen by the statistics that Director Olenek glossed over, it showed that only 12% of Black residents and 18% of Hispanic residents are vaccinated. Clearly, the problem isn't Republicans, but Illinois is making their own decisions based on what they want. A large advertising campaign will not work. Anyone who wants the vaccine has it. And when the advertising showed has 5 of the 9 people be Black, it just shows that the county is targeting Black people who have, by their own wishes, refused to take the vaccine. Director Olenek also said that a vast majority of people in hospitals are unvaccinated. I would like for her to back that up with hard evidence before fear-mongering to the residents of Will County. I would also like to note that Director Olenek disregarded Board Member Ogala when she said that people were confused on how to treat their symptoms. It seems like the director thrives off of confusion. It is also concerning that the director believes PCR tests are the gold standard and believes reports that they can be inaccurate and give false positives are Facebook news. Now, our speaker recently had COVID and recovered, and I'm glad, but she said that she was vaccinated and boosted, and everyone around her is vaccinated and boosted, yet she said this meant the vaccine worked. The fact is that that means the vaccine did not work to protect her. People didn't get this vaccine to still get this virus. They got this vaccine to be protected, and it has failed miserably. We're not going to get anywhere by forcefully vaccinating and pushing this us versus them mentality. I don't know why this county would have Director Olenek on the payroll when public health seems to be low in her priorities and fear-mongering and pandering are high. Let's all do better and respect the medical decisions of everyone, as Board Member Berkowitz stated earlier today. I'm sorry for her loss, and I'm grateful for her words. And I ask that this hateful rhetoric end immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments that we're aware of? Okay. All right. All right, we are going to move on to any pressing county board comments by the county board members, because we do have executive session yet. Is there any county board member who? Okay, county board member Triniers and Old Hand?
I just wanted to be for the record, be a yes on the ARPA contract. Thank you.
All right, thank you. County board, or Speaker Cowan, is that an Old Hand?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Sorry.
All right, any comments by the minority leader, majority leader, speaker?
No.
No,
I'm
ma'am.
all set, thank you.
All right, speaker? No, all right. So at this time, I need a motion to move into executive session to discuss collective bargaining negotiations.
So moved, Drusilla.
Second Mueller?
Moved by Mueller, seconded by Ballage. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mueller,
Yes?
Frizzalone,
Yes.
Newquist,
Yes.
Ogala, Cook,
Yes.
Mustis,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Tyson,
Yes.
Trainier,
I could make it work. I'd be a yes.
Trainier,
Yeah, well,
Gould. Oh, okay, thank you. Balich. Balich, yes. Brooks,
Yes.
Winfrey is gone. Parker? Parker? Ventura?
Yes.
Ventura?
Ventura is a yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz? Berkowitz?
Yes.
Pretzel?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Carlitis?
Yes.
Cowan?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll wait a couple minutes. If you could quickly go to your executive session link.
Come on.
to discuss with the CBA process. So I'm going to turn it over to you gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Jennifer.
I can hear off of the county board.
If, Mark, if you can hold on a second, we can hear you on the other meeting still. Yeah.
All right.
We're having a hard time hearing you, so hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, we are now back in open session. There is no action needed from executive session, so I do need a motion to adjourn.
So move for Sloan.
Motion by Frizzalone, second by, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Happy New Year. We are now adjourned.